does that even mean, Bowers game quarterback?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, and today I'm very excited to check out How Do You See the World from Authentic Agility. This is for any number of players. It'll take you as long as you want to play it, and I must preface this by saying this is not technically a game. This is more of an activity that you can do with other people to really have deep, philosophical, non-judgmental, meaningful discussions about life, love, beliefs, religion, trauma, just all sorts of different topics as you wade through these hundreds of humongous cards that are each going to have 5 questions apiece. Now, you also can play games with them as if you go online and look up different ways to do it, but let's open it up, I'll show it to you, and I'll tell you what I think. Alright then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of How Do You See the World. So first and foremost, we have our handy dandy rule cardboard. Right here, it's going to tell you how you can play by yourself or in a group. And essentially, you're just going to be rolling the dice and then reading out a question. Then everyone is going to have 1 minute to answer the questions. So it's not actually a game per se. It's more of an activity where you were talking and discussing deep things inside of you and your past and also your future and different things like that. But you'll see that a little bit later. Now, if you would like to play an actual game, you can keep score, and there's different ways they have online. I tried one of those out in the classroom. It worked relatively well, but for the most part, honestly, we just enjoyed sitting around and discussing reflections, relationships, aspirations, life purpose, all sorts of deep questions like that. So let's show you how it works. So first and foremost, you do have these warm-up cards right here. So if you're playing with a newer group that might not know each other or might be not so open to answering like deep questions, then you can start with these here, which is nice. I don't think I'd ever really use them in situations where I'd be playing this game because I do like to just cut through the fat and get to the meat of questions and have deep philosophical conversations. But if you do want to trim the fat a little bit, you can do the warm-up cards. So let's just show you how it works. You roll the dice, then you read off the question. And this is a foam die. It's kind of weird, but it's nice enough. So right now we have a aspiration. If you could invent anything, what would it be? So if I could invent anything in the world. So you give everybody a little bit to talk and then to think, and then the first person who wants to go just goes. So if I could invent anything in the world, I would love to invent the very first self-driving lawnmower that's solar-powered and robotic so that it would just manually do it on a schedule and it would just do it itself and you'd never even have to worry about it. That would be fantastic. So, also on here, you could have got how do you make others smile. So how do I make others smile? I try to be funny. I do. I throw so much things against the wall that a lot of the time my humor does not hit because I try so often, but a lot of the time it does. So I try to be a humorous person and enjoy to be around for the most part. How would you describe your father? Oh my God. Well, we're really opening up a can of worms here, aren't we? How do you see the world? My father is currently in prison, but he was a good father to me at times. He helped me get into college. He pushed me into college. He paid for part of my college at one point. He let me live there with him. And so as a father, to me, he had good moments. There was a lot of things that he did were really bad. Like he left me alone a lot, which led me to doing, a lot of drugs and running with the wrong crowd and almost being a teenage father and things like that. So he also had really poor moments. And if you talk to my stepsister, who he molested, obviously not a good father. But to me, he had moments where he was a good father. So yeah, wow. So there you go. I mean, just right there. This is a random question I picked. We'll do another card too. What is something you wished others knew about you? I wish that they knew that I really wish I was more of an extrovert. Like I come off as like a hardcore extrovert, but here's the thing. You know what? I wish people knew that I wanted to talk to them, just not about small talk. That's what I want people to know. I want people to know that I want to talk to them, but not about small talk. If you want to talk about politics or sports or movies or video games or music or food or a topic, an actual topic, then yes, I am so far game. Count me in. But if you just want to talk about the weather or how's it going? No, I don't want to talk about any of that. The last, beliefs, which is obvious. What clues do you have into the universe and its mysteries? Woo, okay, we're gonna lose some subscribers here. For me personally, I think all the atrocious things that happen, and I subscribe to this Reddit group, which you should not subscribe to, called Enough Internet, where is the absolute worst pictures and videos you could ever possibly see in your lifetime. The things that just make you numb to society and how bad things are in bad places, like bad countries. So yeah. That makes me think that there probably is not a God, but that's just my personal opinion. Let's do one more card. Let's just, bam, jump right in. So, oh yeah. So there also is on the die, since we're talking about the game here, one more symbol right there, which is pretty much just pick any one of the questions that you'd like to do. So describe an experience that left you speechless with joy. I'm not speechless too often. I'm normally very, very quick on my feet. When the White Sox won the World Series, as dumb as it sounds, I was very young, and I just was crying, and I was just so happy. And my girlfriend at the time, she was just like, "What's wrong? What are you crying?" I couldn't talk. I was so stinking happy. Relationships. What does your ideal family scenario look and feel like? My ideal family scenario would be, I think I'm close to it now. I like having 2 kids and a wife. I wish me and my wife fought less. I mean, that would be great, but I know she's going through a lot, and I know I'm not the easiest person to live with. I got a lot of hobbies, and they take up a lot of time, and yeah, so I just wish there was less fighting between me and my wife, and yeah, maybe another kid, maybe another boy. Aspirations. I would love to learn more about blank in the next year. In the next year, I would love to learn more about running for public office. I really would. Especially if it does end up being a blue wave in the next couple weeks, which a lot of people are expecting. I would love to learn more about going into public office because I have some very decisive opinions that I'd like to see people do action on. In particular, education and marijuana, but that one's less so at a local level. How do you stretch your mind? How do I stretch my mind? Ooh, how do I stretch my mind? I used to stretch it by just being in college. I used to love being in college and learning about different topics. I would say I stretch it when I get on Reddit. When I get on Reddit and I go to like Futurology and I'll read just like a really in-depth article about just some technology or science that people are working on, and I'll just stretch my mind that way, and then I'll try and interweave that in conversations throughout, the next week about how, things hopefully could be changing in the future. Last one. Beliefs. What is one truth you know, but most others do not agree with you on? One truth I know. Wow. That is a very divisive question. Not decisive. One truth I know that others do not agree on. That marijuana is not bad. Most people understand that. Most people realize that. Most people know that you could get addicted to it. It does make you somewhat lethargic. But just the hate that marijuana gets from people who don't know anything about marijuana, who've never done marijuana, that's what really bugs me. If you've done marijuana, you're like, it's bad. Super lazy, didn't get anything done. It's not for me. I hate it, and that's why I hate it. I don't want my kids smoking it because I don't want them, just sit around and play video games and listen to music. I'd say that's a perfectly reasonable reason why to do that. But if you've never actually done it, then I don't think you should have any dogs in the fight, But hey, I say the same thing, but then, I've never had an abortion, but I have an opinion on abortion. So what do you know? What do you know? But there you go. I mean, that's 2 cards. Like, that is 2 stinking cards. Look at that. Tons and tons of cards here. But that, in a nutshell, is how you're going to play. How do you see the world? Alrighty then, how do you see the world through authentic agility? What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, not technically a game. And I definitely need to bold point that and asterisk that, where you can play a game with it. You can get online, you can find the different ways to play different games, and it does turn it into a game somewhat, but honestly, I just liked it better as questions. It makes me feel like a kid where you get like a game, and instead of actually playing the game, it's like, I just want to read these questions and discuss it. And I feel like that was a good call by them to make that how the game is played. That if you want to add points, then you can go online, you can find those points. But I feel like at its core, most people are just going to want to sit around and have these deep, lengthy discussions about different aspects of their past, their future, their present, their life, their relationships, all sorts of different stuff like that. But moving on to the cons, that's another thing. Some people are not going to want to do that. And you absolutely have to know going into it if someone is not going to want to play this game. Some people are not open books. I personally hate that because I love discussing everything with everyone. I would play this with 5 complete strangers and I would be absolutely enthralled to learn about their past and what they believe and this and that. And if I could find those people who just want to open up and talk about everything, I think we could leave there, I don't want to say friends, but just with a bond. And I'm getting off topic here. This is a very different game, so I'm going to try and stay on topic. But you have to know your crowd. Some people are not going to want to play this game. Also, it's repetitive. You're going to be doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. If you don't like listening to people, this is definitely not going to be a game for you. If you want to just talk about yourself, then play it by yourself or play it 2 players, I guess. There's not really too many cons I have to poke into this game because it's not, at its core, a game. It's more of an activity. But moving on to the pros, how do you see the world is absolutely outstanding. And I feel like they did it. Oh, one last con I do have is that a lot of the time, some of the questions will seem samey, especially if you roll the dice on the same topic, because I sat in my classroom and we probably did this for an hour, 2 separate days, like an hour. And that doesn't sound like much. It really doesn't. When you play board games that last 2 or 3 or 4 hours, 1 hour does not seem like a long time. But when you're factoring in the fact that these are kids age 6 to 11 that are surrounded by their peers and other toys and other distractions, and we sat there for an hour and did nothing but discussing our hopes and dreams and aspirations and fears and feelings, that's nuts. That's not topics most people want to talk about, especially not for prolonged periods of time. And we did, and it went over amazing. And I also played this with adults as well. It was not a game night type situation. I did not bring this to my game night just because it's not a game. I mean, that's the biggest thing there. But I did. I brought it into a social situation where people are just kind of sit around shooting the chum, and it went over magnificently. Now, there was one person who just absolutely were given like short little contrite answers because they didn't want to open up, and you're going to have that. But most people want to talk about this sort of stuff. Most people want you to know more about them. That's a secret. That's a secret that a lot of people don't understand, is that most people want you to know more about them and help to see their perspective on the world. It's really fascinating. Just think about it. Just think about it. Next time you're driving in your car, just look at each and every person that drives by you, that walks by you. They have their own unique, separate life that is completely different from your life in nearly every way, and you are not going to know one iota about their life. They have their own problems, they have their own ups, their own downs, their own kids, their own joys, their own diseases, their own everything. That is mind-boggling, and this is a game that helps bring those people that are close to you closer to you, I feel, which is exactly what most people want. You want long-lasting, strong foundation friendships, and I feel like this is the kind of game that can help harness those. It's fantastic. Now, I also work with kids. I work with a lot of kids, and the kids absolutely love this. Now, some of the questions I am going to say, and this is kind of a con, are just a little too next level for the kids. Some of these questions you kind of have to have life experiences on to answer. So I would say if you are playing with kids that are younger, and I did play this with a 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11-year-old, younger kids, you're going to want to make sure you maybe say, oh, we're not going to do this question, we're going to do a different question on the card. But chances are there's going to be at least 1 or 2 questions on the card that the kids are absolutely going to be enthralled to answer. But continuing on to the pros, I do like the packaging. I think it's a very nice, clever packaging, unlike anything I've seen. There's a little slot right here to put your die, which is really kind of odd. The cards are big and thick and chunky. And that's 2 cards. That's 1 card right there. That is a big, thick old card, which is great. There's lots and lots of cards, 5 questions on each card. I mean, yeah, you could say maybe you wish they were double-sided, but honestly, that's a lot more questions. I like the fact they included the warm-up cards, not something that I would really ever use. In fact, the only reason I used them was because I didn't realize that they're warm-up cards when I was using them, because they're at the front when you put it in. I wish, this is a con, I wish that at least 1 scoring variant was included with there, so you didn't have to go online to find it. That would have been more convenient if there was just like an extra card in here that was just like, here's the different ways you can play with scoring. That would have been nice. But in the end, how do you see the world? From authentic agility. I don't really think I need to tell you much. If you watched the middle part, if you heard me talk about it, I think you know whether or not this is going to be for you. And so I'm not going to oversell it too hard. But for me personally, this is outstanding. This is really, really great. And I wholeheartedly recommend it. And something I'm going to keep. My buddy Eric, he saw some of the cards. And he was like, yeah, I want to borrow this immediately just so I can get to know my family better and talk with my family more in depth. And I feel like this is a great thing to bring families together, to bring friends together. I think it's a great, if you like having deep philosophical discussions, especially people who like to smoke. A lot of the times people like to smoke. They like to get in these deep conversations. This is a great game for you. If you're looking for a family game that's going to help you learn more about your family and what they want and what they need and what they feel and what they fear, this is a game for you. I really can't recommend this enough. How do you see the world? As long as you can get over the fact that it's not really a game, is a different beast entirely, and it's a fantastically different beast that is going to be in my collection for as long as I have a collection. Wholeheartedly recommend this one. How do you see the world from Authentic Agility? If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click over that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know. Let's do it. Let's do it. Random card, random question in the comments below. Let's get to know each other better. All right. When do you feel most vulnerable? Wow, that's a really hard question for me. Why did I pick that one? When do I feel most vulnerable? So vulnerable. I don't feel vulnerable terribly often. I feel vulnerable. I guess this is kind of a cliche one. I feel vulnerable in new social situations where I don't have many things in common with many people there, which is kind of a cop-out, to be honest with you. And I might ask another one. I won't, but because I have so many interests that are so diverse, it's really hard. Like, you want to talk about video games? I could talk your ear off about video games. PlayStation versus Xbox versus Switch versus PC Master Race. I can talk all day about that. Same with music and genres of music. I can talk country music. I can talk rock music. I can talk rap music. I can talk R&B music. I can talk new wave, old wave, 80s music, 70s music, 60s music. I can talk about that. Movies, same thing. TV shows. While I don't watch that much TV, I still read reviews about TV shows because my brain is really stupid and weird. But sometimes I will get into situations where I feel like, wow, I don't have anything in common to talk with about these people. And the worst part is, here's the worst part, as bad as it is, if we're getting deep here, it's at my work. It really is. I work with a bunch of middle-aged women, and they're most of them are absolutely fantastic people, but I feel like I have so little in common with these people. It's like, yes, we both work with kids, and that's it. And as odd as it is, my career path has led me to being vulnerable in those type of situations. So I would say that when I have to sit with my peers and there's nothing concrete to really talk about, that's when I feel vulnerable. And that's when I'm just like, oh God, get me out of here. Please get me out of here. Please get me out of here. Please don't anybody talk to me. So I guess that would be it. But let me know in the comments below. When do you feel most vulnerable? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.